It's 11 p.m. You're exhausted. You know you should go to sleep. Instead, you're lying in bed, scrolling through TikTok. One more video, just one more. 3 hours later, it's 2 a.m. and you're still scrolling. You're not even enjoying it anymore, you're just stuck. Sound familiar? There's actually a name for this: revenge bedtime procrastination. And it's not just a bad habit. There's real psychology and neuroscience behind why you literally can't stop scrolling when you should be sleeping. So if you've ever wondered why your brain sabotages your sleep every single night, this video is for you. Let's dive in. First, let's define what we're talking about. Revenge bedtime procrastination is when you deliberately delay sleep to engage in leisure activities, even though you know it'll have negative consequences. The term originally came from China, where it's called Bao Fu Xing Ao Ye, which translates to retaliatory staying up late. It went viral in 2020 when writer Daphne K. Lee tweeted, "Revenge bedtime procrastination, a phenomenon in which people who don't have much control over their daytime life refuse to sleep early in order to regain some sense of freedom during late-night hours." And that hit a nerve globally, because it perfectly describes what millions of people do every night. For most people, revenge bedtime procrastination means being in bed on their phones, doom scrolling or scrolling through social media. And social media never ends. It can keep going and keep going and keep going. This shows up in two ways: delaying bedtime itself, or getting into bed on time, but scrolling, streaming, or otherwise postponing the actual moment you try to fall asleep. Many people do both. Research defines bedtime procrastination as failing to go to bed at the intended time while no external circumstances prevent a person from doing so. There are three key factors that make it bedtime procrastination specifically. You're decreasing your overall sleep time every night. There's no external reason forcing you to stay up late, like work or illness. You're aware the loss of sleep is impacting you negatively, but you don't change your behavior. And here's the heartbreaking part. Studies show that high bedtime procrastinators spent 79.5 minutes on their phones in the 3 hours before bedtime, while low procrastinators spent only 17.6 minutes. That's not a small difference. That's a massive behavioral pattern. So why revenge? What are you taking revenge on? Research shows that revenge sleep procrastination is tied to significant daytime stress. For many people, it's a response to extended work hours that, combined with a full night's sleep, leave virtually no time for entertainment or relaxation. Think about it. Your entire day is controlled by other people. Your boss dictates your schedule. Your kids need constant attention. Your responsibilities pile up. By the time everyone else is taken care of, it's 10 p.m. and you finally have a moment to yourself. But if you go to sleep now, you'll wake up tomorrow and do it all over again, without ever having had time for you. So you stay up, you scroll, you watch Netflix, you play games on your phone, not because you're particularly enjoying it, but because it's the only time that feels like yours. Your desire to procrastinate sleep is driven by the absence of leisure in your free time. The revenge aspect comes from the desire to stay awake at night to catch up on the free time you didn't have during the day, as if taking revenge for all the leisure you missed. Parents, especially those of young children, are particularly vulnerable. They juggle multiple roles throughout the day: work, childcare, household tasks. The quiet hours after children go to bed become their only opportunity for personal time. Studies show that parents frequently experience bedtime procrastination because they feel compelled to decompress and regain control of their day. Professionals in high-stress environments face similar risks. Many struggle to switch off after work, leading to compulsive email checking or mindless scrolling. And students, research shows they're highly vulnerable too, with flexible schedules, evening chronotypes, and high digital media consumption pushing their bedtimes further into the night. Now let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain. when you can't stop scrolling. Every like, comment, share, or interesting video triggers a release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, reward, and reinforcement learning. Social media platforms exploit this mechanism aggressively. They're designed to hijack your brain's reward system. Here's how it works. When you scroll and find something rewarding, a funny video, a relatable meme, validation through likes, your brain releases dopamine. This reinforces the behavior and makes you want to keep scrolling. But it's not a steady dopamine release. Social media provides intermittent reinforcement. You never know when you'll get that dopamine hit. This unpredictability makes it even more addictive, mirroring the way slot machines and gambling work. Research shows that social media uses a variable reward system. By rewarding you at random and unpredictable times with engaging content, platforms use that unpredictability to pull you in. If you scroll long enough, you'll eventually find something you enjoy, further reinforcing the scrolling behavior. And here's where it gets worse. The more you use social media, the harder it becomes for your brain to resist it. Your brain starts pruning neurons to make the reward pathway faster. The shorter pathway means your brain can feel rewards faster, but it also makes you more impulsive and less able to stop yourself from scrolling. Over time, this pruning can shrink certain brain areas like the amygdala and nucleus accumbens, which are key for controlling emotions and making decisions. Stanford psychiatrist Anna Lembke explains it this way. When you're scrolling, your brain releases unnaturally high levels of dopamine. But then when you stop, your brain is plunged into a dopamine deficit state as it tries to adapt. This is why social media often feels good while you're doing it, but horrible as soon as you stop. The brain responds by decreasing dopamine transmission, not just back to baseline, but below it. This creates a chronic dopamine deficit state, where you're less able to experience pleasure from other activities. You're literally training your brain to crave scrolling. There's also a timing element that makes bedtime scrolling especially problematic. Sleep specialists explain that scrolling usually happens during your second wind, a surge of alertness that occurs a few hours before you're supposed to fall asleep. What happens is, you start watching videos or scrolling during that second wind. But then, that alertness signal starts falling and it's time to be sleeping, and you're fighting it by continuing to scroll. Your brain is telling you it's time to sleep, but the endless feed keeps you engaged. The blue light from your screen suppresses melatonin production, making it even harder to feel sleepy. And because social media never ends, there's no natural stopping point, you lose all sense of time. Before you know it, hours have passed. Research on delay discounting shows that when you're tired and scrolling, you choose the immediate reward, one more video, over the long-term benefit, sleeping and feeling rested tomorrow. Your exhausted brain can't properly weigh consequences. For people with ADHD, this is especially difficult. They find that it can take 1 or even 2 hours of doing absolutely nothing just to mentally reset after a full day. But here's the dilemma. You know, if you start decompressing now, you'll go to bed late. So instead of fully committing to rest, you reach for your phone, promising it'll be just 5 minutes. 3 hours later, you're still there. You didn't relax. You didn't enjoy it. And now you're even more exhausted. Let's talk about what this actually costs you. Research shows that chronic sleep deprivation from bedtime procrastination leads to mental health deterioration, increased risks of anxiety, depression, and mood swings. People who stay up late report more symptoms of depression and anxiety, lower sleep quality, and higher risk of insomnia than those who go to bed earlier. Cognitive decline, impaired memory, focus, and decision-making abilities. You rob yourself of rest that would allow you to complete the next day's work more efficiently. Physical health risks, higher likelihood of developing obesity, cardiovascular diseases, and hypertension. Sleep deprivation weakens your immune system. The vicious cycle. The next day, you're more tired. Your ADHD symptoms worsen if you have ADHD. It becomes harder to focus or switch contexts. Noises are more overwhelming. You burn even more mental energy just trying to hold things together. So by the end of that day, you need even more recovery time. This leads to eating later, going to bed later, and facing even more pressure to decompress. The cycle deepens. And here's the long-term danger. Sleep psychologist Dr. Alicia Roth warns that this can go from a choice, choosing not to sleep, into an insomnia, where I can't fall asleep. Because if this is something you do routinely, your body and brain are going to start to learn, I get into bed and I scroll. And it starts to lose the association between bed and sleep. You're literally training your brain that bed equals scrolling, not sleeping. So how do you break this cycle? Here are evidence-based strategies. Address the root cause, reclaim daytime leisure. Instead of resorting to revenge bedtime procrastination, focus on addressing your daytime stress. Where in your life can you take on less work to create better balance? Can you delegate tasks, set better boundaries, create pockets of leisure during the day so you're not desperately stealing it at night? Make active choices, not passive scrolls. Sometimes there's no right solution, but the hardest part of revenge procrastination is feeling like you've lost control. Take the active choice to either sleep or have fun, but make it conscious. If you choose to stay up and watch something you genuinely enjoy, own that choice. Accept the consequences. It feels less like a spiral and more like empowerment, even if you're exhausted tomorrow. But ask yourself, how many times has scrolling social media actually felt worth it? Usually it doesn't. Use your phone in another room. Dr. Roth emphasizes that you don't need to stop using electronics completely. Just use them in another room until you're actually tired. That way your bed only becomes associated with sleep, not with scrolling. Set time limits. Use phone settings or apps to limit access to social media at certain hours. Set a timer when you start scrolling. Schedule specific times to be online instead of mindlessly reaching for your phone. Replace scrolling with genuine relaxation. Create a bedtime routine with actual relaxing activities. Reading a physical book, meditating, gently stretching, journaling. Research shows relaxation techniques can decrease the stress that drives revenge bedtime procrastination. Be mindful about content. If you do scroll, be conscious of what you're consuming. Content that triggers comparison, envy, or anxiety will make everything worse. Choose content that genuinely relaxes you, or better yet, put the phone down entirely. Create an inviting sleep space. Make your bedroom dark, quiet, cool, with comfortable bedding. An inviting sleep environment can counteract the desire to sacrifice sleep for screen time. Here's something important to understand. This isn't just your personal failure. Revenge bedtime procrastination is a symptom of workism and burnout culture. It's what happens when entire populations are overworked, stressed, and deprived of leisure time during reasonable hours. One person revenge sleep procrastinating? That's a personal problem. Whole swaths of a working population doing it. That's deep dissatisfaction with the status quo. It's a quiet rebellion against a system that demands constant productivity and leaves no room for rest, pleasure, or autonomy. Your brain is trying to reclaim something that should never have been taken in the first place. Time to just be. Time that's yours. Time without obligations or demands. The problem is that you're reclaiming it in the least effective way possible, by sacrificing sleep, which only makes tomorrow harder, which increases your stress, which increases your need for escape, which perpetuates the cycle. But here's the hopeful part. Understanding this pattern is the first step to changing it. You can reclaim your daytime hours so you don't need to steal them at night. You can break the dopamine addiction with intentional phone use. You can retrain your brain to associate bed with sleep. You can make active choices instead of passive scrolls. It won't be easy. Social media is literally designed to be addictive. Your circumstances might make daytime leisure genuinely difficult, but awareness is power. And so tonight, when you reach for your phone at midnight, ask yourself, am I actually enjoying this, or am I just avoiding tomorrow? And maybe, just maybe, put the phone down and give your brain the rest it's been begging for. Now I'm curious, are you a revenge bedtime procrastinator? What time are you usually scrolling until, and what do you think you're really avoiding? Let me know in the comments. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more psychology content about the modern struggles we all face. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully well rested.